Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. So yeah, this case made the this police officer quit. And I mean it wasn't just this case, but this case played a big part in it. So we got a father who's on trial right now, and the victims were his son and his girlfriend. But the story keeps changing depending on who you talk to. Even the police have completely different stories. So the father has a story, the girlfriend has a story, her sister has a story, the son has a story, the son's mother has a big story. But so yeah, we're gonna watch this. It's gonna take a couple days, but it's fine because I don't know if I should tell you or just let you find out. I'll tell you. The lawyer that we're watching, Shapiro from Georgia, we've watched him a couple times before. I think we watched him twice before. And in both cases, he moved for the judge to recuse himself. Remember? You'll remember when it gets there. You will. You'll remember this lawyer. And you know, oh yeah, it's Shapiro again. Which is why I'm playing it because I love Shapiro. He's just so whiny. He's not that bad in this one though, guys. He's really not. Um, that's it. I'm quitting. I obviously do not have the skills to do a YouTube. And I've watched a lot of people and they don't have skills and their YouTube is freaking fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's just whatever. Bill, how dare you? Bill, how dare you send me a text message like that? How dare you? What is wrong with you? Are you a psycho or something? Are you psychotic? I would like you to try to say those words to your wife and then wait 3 days and just see what happens. Just see what Emily says to you. Rude. I have a quick story from work though before I get started. Yes, I am. Oh, you had me so mad at you, I forgot. Gonna take a drink while you guys try to read those letters. Oh my God, and I forgot. Oh, wait. Guys, I got something to show you. I'm going there. I'm going there. I'm going there. I got something to show you. Nope. Come on, just show me my store. Where is my store? Someone teach me how to use this computer thing. Oh, what? Maybe if I go to view shop. I freaking hate this website so bad. Shop all products. Where are my collections? Shop all products. I got there in the end. I got new merch in my shop, guys. I got new merch in my shop. Yes, I do. You can't see it, but that says it's Bill. That says it's Bill. I really want to know what this looks like though. Hold on, I'm looking. Oh, I didn't put the leggings up on purpose because I hate those leggings. But that all, listen, if you want your own It's Bill Tri Blended t-shirt, you can order one. Hell yes, I'm ordering one. Hell yes. I think I want this one right here. I love baseball shirts. See it? See it? Make it bigger. Nope. That's not how we roll here. At Court Vibes, our graphics are barely visible. I don't want red, black. Yes, sir. No, the other one. Okay, this one. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm gonna boo this over here. Print location, front or black? What do you mean? I didn't Oh my god, I didn't share my screen. Are you freaking kidding me? This is bullshit. Alright, I gotta go backwards. I have a new shop. It's Bill. That's it. That's it. You can get any of these with the It's Bill on it. I didn't put the leggings on. I am currently going to buy this one, like right now, right on. I'm not gonna do this part on in front of you guys though, because that's not right. I'm gonna put it on the front. View my cart. Oh, leave me alone. Hold on, I'm almost there, guys. Pay. See, I didn't want that part to show up because all my payment methods are there. And you guys don't need to see that. You guys don't need to see my payment methods. Okay, if you ever order something in my shop, Scott, my shop, I don't think you should click any of these freaking things. No thanks, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. Don't even read them, okay? Don't even read them. My It's Bill shirt's probably gonna be here in a month. Speaking of, this right here that I'm wearing, this is the dress that I bought to go down to Texas in. It finally came in yesterday. Oh, that's why I had to run to the thrift store the day before I left and get a used dress. So, Jenny, I ordered one. You just come over here and get it. So I go to work tonight. You guys are going to appreciate this story. This is going to sound like I'm lying so hard, but I'm not. And I'll explain it at the end and then you'll understand. But you guys are going to think I'm lying so hard to you right now. I go to this table. It's four older men, older than me men. All right. I know one of them is a lawyer because no matter what happens at the table, the others keep saying, "Okay, here you go, counselor. Or let's go, counselor. Are you going to order, counselor?" So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're a lawyer?" Yeah. I said, "Are you criminal?" He said, "No." So okay, I was done with it. I had no more questions for him. Well, later on, they get their wings and they get a whole bunch of beer, a lot of beer. I go up to the table to see if they want another round, and they said, "Let me ask you something." I said, "Okay." They said, "Go back in time and pretend you're in high school. You're a high schooler again." He said, "If you just started dating a boy and he wanted to, on your next date, take you to the courthouse for a murder trial, how would you feel about that?" Of course, I was like, "Oh my gosh, bet I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that was a date idea thing. Yes, sign me up." They have no idea what I do. They think I'm a server. I know one of those is a lawyer. Now, I know that sounds so unbelievable that they would ask me that question because of this channel. But here's what really, really, really happened. The one guy was starting to date this girl, and the other guy who is not a criminal attorney was telling him about this murder case happening and how crazy it is and how maybe he should take his new date there. That's how they got there. It had nothing to do with me or my channel or anything like that. But I just thought that was the craziest thing that they asked me that question because I don't know. It's just funny. And then I don't I don't know if I told you guys, like, I'm really, really ready to walk out the door at my job right now, which is so hard for me because I love it. I love that job. I do. It's just so much fun. But yeah, they treat me like shit. So I'm ready to walk out the door. So 2 years ago, I started music bingo. No, no, I started regular bingo. I think it was two. It could have been 3 years ago on Wednesday nights because they wanted to just close the restaurant Wednesday nights because they didn't get enough business. And I'm like, "What do you mean close the restaurant on Wednesday nights?" "No, we gotta do something to bring customers in so we can sell beer." I mean, that's so we begged them, me and the other server begged them, let us do bingo. We'll supply the prizes, because we'll get the bingo color. We'll do everything. It's only for 2 hours. Let's try it. So we did. And we got a nice big following for bingo right now, every Wednesday. And now it's music bingo, not just regular bingo, right? Well, my bosses flat out told me a couple days ago that I'm not a team player because I don't help pay the bills there. So they don't have to discuss any changes with me. Okay, no problem. So I went in and told my boss, I think it was Sunday. I don't know, days smushed together. I'm canceling music bingo. We're not doing it anymore. And he was like, why? What do you mean? So I'm not buying any more prizes for music bingo. I'm not spending all that money. He says, we pay for prizes. So in the last 2, maybe 3 years, they've given us 3 checks to help pay for prizes. And we buy prizes every Wednesday without fail. And the checks that they gave us were so tiny, it didn't even cover 1 week. So now, ever since I said that, my boss keeps going back and forth to me and Jessica. You know what? Well, I don't think we should cancel bingo. Okay, no, then don't cancel bingo. It's your restaurant, but you're gonna have to get prizes and a bingo color. Well, no, we can just do it like once a month. Sure, you can do it once a month. Yeah. This is where I usually go to get prizes, but you can get them from anywhere you want. Well, can we just not cancel bingo yet? Let's see if they asked me what I planned on doing instead. And I just said, I don't know, and walked away because it's not my job to find something to do. So the other server finally had enough of the owner talking to her about bingo today. And she just flat out laid it out for him. You guys treat us like shit. You guys treat us like shit. Why would we do bingo anymore? Why would we do anything for you anymore? So it's very crazy at my job right now. We will see what they do. No, no, none of them. They didn't have a restaurant before, so they had no idea. We lifted them up. They think that I don't bring money into that place. They're gonna learn real quick. But anyway, I planted these. I picked these, right? They barely smell. When I walk outside, they smelled. You could smell it from the whole way through the driveway. How beautiful these were. Now I can't smell it at all. Anybody know why? Can somebody with a green thumb tell me why? Yep. No, no stream on Wednesday because I picked up a whole nother shift on Thursday and Saturday now. I work a different shift. Work a different way on Saturday that gives me more hours. I have to. So, no streams. But we are streaming today eventually. I've only been talking for 13 minutes. That sucks. I'm going to have to cut this all out. I'm going to have to delete all this when I put this video up. No one's going to love that. So, you guys need to stop me when I do that. Someone needs to say, Kathy, shut up. You're doing something wrong. Here we go. Here's the case that made a cop quit, and the story keeps changing, and God only knows what's going on.
During this whole physical attack, Ronald Kevin Henson comes up to him, jerks him off the bed, smashes his cell phone for trying to get in the way of Mr. Henson. Now this assault's finally over, and Lindsay Schubert's laying in her bathroom floor. She's laying there in her blood from being struck over the head with this metal chair, hit and strangled. She's begging for water. Killian, please give me a water. Killian tried to get Lindsay to call the police that night because things were so bad. She was too scared. She didn't call the police that night. She left the residence, and that next morning, sunlight brought a bit of clarity. She called police. And police respond out to that residence on Mark Kent Road. Now, this is the morning of April 16th. That's Lindsay Schubert up there, and she tells police exactly what happened. She says, he tried to choke me out, in her words, meaning strangled, and he hit me over the head with his chair. And that's where Mark Truslow comes in, ladies and gentlemen. So you heard me mention Mark Truslow at the beginning of this trial. Now, he used to be a Hall County deputy at the sheriff's office here. What you'll find out over the course of this trial is that he went on to handle this case so poorly that he got disciplined by the sheriff's office and now no longer works there. And so Mark Truslow comes out, talks to Lindsay briefly, and the investigation sort of continues on. That is because Killian's mom, Andrea Gibbons, sees all the injuries on him, sees his shoulder abrasion, sees his bleeding, sees the scratching on his neck from where his dad strangled him and his necklace went into his neck, sees all of those physical injuries on him, and calls and says, hey, something's not right. My kid is hurt. Something more happened. Y'all need to figure this out. That's where Lisa Collette comes in. Because she comes in, continues the investigation, and realizes that Mark Truslow did not do anything he was supposed to do, barely talked to anyone, and you'll see all of that through this trial. And so that he even failed to follow orders to take these very charges. You'll hear all about that. You'll also hear that when Lisa Collette starts talking to Killian, that she takes pictures, and there are pictures taken of Killian. So what you'll see up there on the screen is on the left, that's the tank top that Killian was wearing at the time. You'll see the dried blood sort of on the back, which is where his shoulder injury was. And you'll also see the picture on the right is the scratching on his neck from being strangled by his dad, and that necklace just imprinting into his neck from being strangled. Now, while all this is happening and this investigation is ongoing, Lindsay Schubert goes to urgent care because she's trying to get her head seen about after she's been hit over the head with a metal chair. And urgent care won't even see her because of the nature of her injuries. They say it's involving your head, it's complicated, go to the ER. So Lindsay Schubert goes on over to Northeast Georgia Medical Center to get seen about. This is still the very next day on April 16th. So when Lindsay gets to the ER, she tells them exactly what happened, that Mr. Henson is the one who...
Good question. Apparently he strangled both people tonight. So the father has a girlfriend that he lives with. Okay? He strangled her. His son also lives with them. And I think his mother lost custody of him 6 months before this happened. So his real mother hasn't seen him in 6 months. And the father strangles the son too, breaks the son's cell phone. But there's a big deal about metal versus wood and what that means for counts and charges in this case. So listen closely when we get there.
Strangled her, who hit her over the head, and what she was feeling at the time, that she was still having this throbbing headache. She had been bleeding out of both of her ears. She had neck pain, and she was still nauseous from being hit over the head like that. You'll get to see those medical records of Lindsay Schubert and both hear from the doctor at Northeast Georgia Medical Center who treated her, how they cleaned up that laceration on her head from being struck in the head, did a bunch of scans, and treated her and sent her on her way. Now you'll also get to hear and see about the medical records of Killian Henson. So he later on went to the emergency room as well. Now he went with his mom, Andrea Gibbons, later that same day, all still on April 16th, the very next day after the incident occurred. You'll also get to hear from the doctor that treated Killian at Northeast Georgia Medical Center. You'll get to see those medical records from when Killian went to the emergency room. Now at the emergency room, Killian says, my dad caused all of these injuries to my left shoulder, and they took pictures of that, and how he pushed Killian up against the wall, holding him by his neck. Now, they also take pictures at the emergency room. You'll be able to see those as well. The lighting's a little off on the PowerPoint, but on the left there, that's the scratching on his neck from that necklace from being strangled. And then on the right, that's another picture of his shoulder where he was shoved into the wall repeatedly. And so that is Killian's visit at the emergency room. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout this trial, you're going to be hearing a lot of testimony and seeing a lot of evidence about all the horrible things that this man did to both Lindsay and Killian, and all the abuse that he perpetrated on them in this case. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, Lindsay still sort of attached to Mr. Henson, but you have the hospital records, you have an independent witness who saw these things happen. Killian, he is in high school, he's playing lacrosse, and he's generally doing well. Through Ronald Kevin Henson's eyes, these people weren't a girlfriend or a son. They were objects to him. And the evidence will show in this case that when they got in his way, they ended up down as something like a medical description, dwindled all the way down to that. Because if they got in his way, that's what happened. The evidence will show that he abused his kid, abused his girlfriend, and someone that just generally cannot keep their anger in check. He lost it, he snapped, his son and his girlfriend ended up being the victims of that. And instead of teaching that son actual quality of how to be a good person in life, as a 14-year-old, he taught him how to clean up blood from a horrific attack. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for these actions, Mr. Henson is charged by way of an indictment with a couple of different counts. As you heard Judge Steele mention, count 1 is aggravated assault under the Family Violence Act. The basis of count 1 is for Ronald Kevin Henson grabbing Killian by the neck and squeezing, making it likely to result in strangulation to Killian. Count 2 is also aggravated assault under the Family Violence Act, and that course of conduct is by grabbing Lindsay Schubert by the neck, also making it likely to result in strangulation and squeeze around her neck. Count 3 is the last kind of aggravated assault. That is also on that April 15th day, all part of the same attack, where he took that metal chair and hit her over the head with it, causing that laceration, which is in the medical records. Now, count 4 is battery under the Family Violence Act, and the basis of conduct for that is causing those bruises and to the neck and back area of Killian on that back shoulder because of slamming him into the wall. Lastly, count 5, and that is for striking or slapping and punching Lindsay in the face, causing those contusions that are in the medical records and that you will see through the course of this trial. All of this, ladies and gentlemen, because Ronald Kevin Henson snapped, because he lost it. He cannot keep his anger in check. And his own son ended up being the victim at 14 years old of his behavior. Just trying to protect someone else. Just trying to protect Lindsay. Dad, don't put your hands on Lindsay. Instead, he gets attacked too. At the close of this evidence, ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that you will have the evidence and testimony you need to know beyond a reasonable doubt and be satisfied.
Speaking of metal chair, Maiko, I need to know if I should play that now. I've obviously not seen it because you just sent it to me. But if you tell me you should play this right now because it has a metal chair in it, I will.
Ronald Henson committed all these crimes. And at the close of this trial, I'm going to come back up before you and I'm going to ask you to render a verdict that reflects that. I'm going to ask you to render a verdict that speaks the truth, one that holds Ronald Henson accountable for all of these things that he has done to Lindsay and Killian, and that's going to be one of guilty on all counts. Thank you.
This is a great time for a break, a commercial break. We're going to play a commercial break. Obviously, I'm going to get demonetized because of it, and that's fine. I will just have to cut it out. Michael, if you want to... Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Shut up. Michael, if you want to tell them what you told me about this video, you go for it, but I won't. Ready, guys? Ready? Hold on. I have to see if Michael said anything about the video, because then I'll play it again. Nope, nothing. If he says anything, that was Metal Chair, guys, at its finest. Shh. Hi, Mary. Thank you. That was Michael. Caramba, I just shut it. Hold on, I want to show you guys. Our Michael is in that. History. I'm gonna play it one more time. And it's right. Micah's at the very end. He gets slapped down with a chair like a redheaded stepson. I've always wanted to hit Micah with a chair, so this is just like a dream come true. Micah, if you need any practice for stunting for your next promotion, you call me. I will help you out for free. We will practice for free. That was just awesome. That was awesome.
Ladies and
gentlemen, that every day.
On that night, the 15th, Ronald Henson and Lindsay Schubert did get into a physical altercation. So I'm telling you right now, there was a physical altercation the night before. Mr. Henson and Ms. Schubert get into it. The nature of the relationship, they've known each other for a while. I don't know as much as it is romantic versus they've known each other for a while, but either way, they live together in this home. Killian lives there too. And so they get into an altercation the night of that Saturday. And you'll see on the body cam, kind of going this way, coming through the house. Here's the kitchen. Here's a porch out here. Come through the kitchen. And then you go towards the back of the house, and that's how you get to the bedroom. There's 2 bedrooms back these ways. Killian's in one of those bedrooms. And so the initial altercation takes place near the front door where the porch is. At that point, Mr. Henson and Ms. Schubert did get into a physical altercation. And then at that point, they returned into the house. What you're going to see on body cam is a black wooden chair that's over by the kitchen. And you're going to see in the closet a broomstick. Ms. Schubert at no point is hit with a metal object. She's not hit with a metal object at any point. And instead what happens is there's a physical altercation outside. They come in. Ms. Schubert, she'll tell you this, that she goes to the closet, retrieves the broomstick that was in there, and comes at Mr. Henson. At which point Mr. Henson's on the ground and goes like this with the wooden object. That's the wooden object. That's how that comes into play. And she'll tell you that she came at him when he was on the ground with a broom. They had gone into this altercation. I will be honest with y'all that we're looking at April of 23. So I don't know how much Ms. Schubert does or doesn't recall. She will tell you to her best what happened that night. That's when Killian gets involved. So Killian's actually in his room, comes out, hears the altercation going on. And then at some point, Killian gets in between the situation. And Mr. Henson, I'm not going to make any qualms with it about you, does put his hands on his son, Killian.
Killian is his son. Killian was 14 when this happened. Okay?
In an effort to just get him out of the way, it puts him against the wall. What he doesn't do is repeatedly choke, grab, slam. That does not happen. So he does intervene with Killian and puts him against the wall. That is what happens. At no point does he put his hands around Killian's neck and squeeze down and choke him. The first time that comes into the picture is actually when you hear from Killian's biological mother, Andrea Gibbons. And so on the 16th, Officer Truslow had gotten out there at about 9 to 9:20 in the morning. When Officer Truslow gets out there, he confronts Ms. Schubert, who y'all saw on that body cam. Now, the state has alleged that Ms. Schubert had contusions, blood coming out of her ears, all that kind of stuff when she went to the hospital. I'll let y'all see the woman that's on that body cam. That woman does not have contusions. That woman is not bleeding from different locations, but she does go to the hospital, but that's not the woman that you see on there. That's the same day that she goes to the hospital, before she goes to the hospital, apparently, I believe. After that, about 2:30 in the afternoon, that's when Deputy Truslow comes back out a second time. It's because he talked to investigator or Sergeant Collette, who was his supervisor at the time. She did not agree with the way he handled it. So
Can I pet your dog?
he did go back out there a second time to speak with both Killian and Mr. Henson. At this point, he removes Mr. Henson from the house and speaks to Killian independent of Mr. Henson. He takes pictures of Killian, and what you're going to hear from Officer Truslow at that point is, outside of the bruise on his back, he doesn't note any other injuries. He doesn't note any injuries consistent with strangulation. In fact, Killian doesn't say anything about being strangled at any point. The first time you hear the word strangulation is when investigator Collette takes Killian over to his biological mother, Andrea Gibbons, who does not like Mr. Henson. And while they're talking, they ask Killian about something that happened, and she intervenes and says he was strangled. That's when you hear the first words of strangulation is from Killian's biological mother, who was not there. Now, the state, I believe, has also told you that Ms. Gibbons saw Killian, and that's why she called the police. You're going to see that that order of events doesn't actually make sense, because Ms. Gibbons meets at this gas station to get Killian. She didn't call the police. That was the first time she saw Killian. She didn't see Killian before she picked him up. So she sees Killian for the first time that afternoon. Now, she did have some understanding of what happened, so she must have been told by either Lindsay Schubert or Killian, because she does make contact with law enforcement, but it's not through seeing anybody. It's simply through, I'm assuming she talked to somebody and found out some information, and then that results in her making contact with law enforcement. So investigator Collette does that. At this point, former Deputy Truslow had taken out a simple assault or simple battery warrant against Mr. Henson for the altercation concerning Killian at that time. Again, investigator Collette did not agree with the way that Deputy Truslow handled the situation at the time. He went out there, tried to separate the parties, tried to do his job according to what he understood to do, and he'll explain that to y'all. And then what you're going to hear is that shortly after this incident, he did resign from law enforcement. There was no disciplinary action. He was never disciplined. He, as far as I know,
He was never disciplined, but you're going to find out why he was never disciplined for this case.
resigned in good standing, currently serves the military reserves, never lost any badges, never lost anything like that, no disciplinary action. But I will be honest with y'all, him and investigator Collette, which was his supervisor, did not agree with the handling of the case, and so that was a source of tension. But I'll submit to y'all that you're going to see investigator Collette actually take Killian out to the scene and interview Killian with the mother there. And I want y'all to look at both of those and decide which officer you can follow the protocols, because she went out there and took Killian to the mother. I want you to pay attention to the fact that Deputy Truslow interviewed Killian independent, without either biological parent there. Officer Truslow does that. So he goes out there, talks to Killian, and he actually asks about the marks right here. Either he does or somebody else does in his presence. And Killian says, no, feels all fine right here, nothing about these. He does not say, oh, here's the mark. You're asking about these marks, that's when my dad choked me. He doesn't say anything like that. It's only when he then arrives with what mom says a little bit later. And so that's what happens then. The prosecution talked a little bit about a pool of blood everywhere, that what happened that night was Mr. Henson taught Killian how to clean blood at 14 years old. Now, like I said, where this occurs is on a wood floor about probably this color, maybe a little darker, and it's in the kitchen. You're gonna see this house. You're gonna see that there was no pool of blood that was cleaned up. I mean, unless we're talking full scrub, you're gonna see that this young 14-year-old did not have to clean up some pool of blood. You're not gonna see towels. You're not gonna see anywhere that shows evidence of some cleanup.
I'm so sorry. No towels in this video. I'm so sorry.
Whatever this situation was. You're going to also hear that I think he smashed Killian's phone. I think that's kind of an aside from all this. I guess it happens after that. I don't know much about the phone, but I do want you to pay attention to probably how angry that got Killian. I want you to pay attention to whether or not you see the cracked phone or not. But that is apart from these allegations. Again, like I said, Miss Gibbons did not see Killian before this. She sees him, and you'll see her on the camera. She's like freaking out, and they come and talk to her, and she's the one that intercedes with strangling. And the first thing she says is not, how's my son, how's Lindsay? She says, how can I get him arrested? She talks about getting him arrested. That's her first concern. That's what she first says to law enforcement. And going back to investigators Collette, as well as former Deputy Treslow, Deputy Treslow's position is going to be different. That he came out there and appropriately dealt with the situation, and his supervisor forced him to take charges that he did not see. So that's going to be the source of tension. And y'all will be able to assess the credibility of both of those officers. I want y'all to pay attention to the allegations and the specific allegations against Mr. Henson. It's very easy to go through one of these cases and say, well, here's 5 counts, something must have happened. What I'm asking y'all to do, what Ms. Jackson's asking y'all to do, what the court will ask you to do, is to assess each count independently with every element. I told y'all there was a physical altercation. I told y'all that something happened. And what this trial is going to be about is defining what that altercation was, defining legally what those things mean. Because the state has charged Mr. Henson with serious offenses, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and the 2 serious offenses of battery. The state has every burden to prove every element beyond a reasonable doubt. And so everything that was said, look at that with a grain of salt. Was Killian grabbed and slammed repeatedly into a wall? Or was he pinned? Was he strangled? Was Ms. Schubert strangled? And what you're going to hear from Ms. Schubert on that video where they showed you the picture of the video where Ms. Schubert is in a gray t-shirt talking to Deputy Treslow when he initially comes out there. And what she says at that point is that she was struck in the head with a metal chair. Like I told y'all, you'll see the room. And that she said he tried to choke her. At no point will you ever hear Ms. Schubert on that
Thank you, Mary.
podcast say he put his hands on my neck and squeezed. You're not going to hear that part. That part is the initial interaction, the initial incident that leads to everything else. But you're never going to hear her say that she was actually choked on that first body count. Now, you're going to hear from her at this point. She's going to tell you what she does or doesn't remember from that time. But from her medical records, and I said, I don't think you're going to see, and she's going to tell you, not strangulation. As to medical records concerning Killian, a lot of the medical records are actually going to be more unremarkable than what's in the records. So those are going to be about 50 pages of records, and a lot of it's going to be about things that he didn't, signs he did not exhibit, rather than things that they found in the hospital. And I want y'all to pay attention to that as well. When they go to the doctor, who decides to take them to the doctor, and how all of those records play out. At the end of the day, y'all are not, your role here is not going to be to decide whether that was the proper household, whether Killian's in the right household, whether Mr. Henson is a great parent, good parent. Your sole task here is deciding every element beyond a reasonable doubt and making the state prove that. So like I said, do not as you go through this process, do not think about this as it either did or didn't happen. There's a lot of questions about what happened in specifics. That's why these indictments are very serious, and that's why it's important that we have 12 of y'all here serving on this jury holding the state to their burden of proof. Remember that each one of y'all made that promise when you sat down, regardless of anything you bring in here, you will make them prove every element beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's what I'm going to ask y'all to do. And so I'm going to ask y'all to listen to both Investigator Collette and Deputy Treslow, former Deputy Treslow. I'm going to ask y'all to listen to all the witnesses, listen to both sides of it, hear what is there, what isn't there, and then assess the situation for its true credibility. At the end of the day, there was physical altercation, but it's not what you have in front of you. It's not to the degree of the charges that are in front of you. You're going to hear that sentiment from Deputy Treslow. You're going to hear that what he's supposed to do. He did his very best. He's out there bringing teddy bears to the kids. I mean, he's being what he knows how to do. He's trying to make everybody feel comfortable. And so he does the job the way he knows how, and that's his role in the investigation. I believe, like I said, you should hear from Ms. Gibbons in this case, and I do want you to also pay attention to Ms. Gibbons, her demeanor, and what she has said she knew going in and whether that makes sense. Whether she talked to her son, whether she talked to Killian before she received him in her care, all those kinds of things. I want y'all to look out for that. And in looking out for all these things, I'm confident that at the end of this trial, you're going to find that there was some physical altercation. But what you're not going to find is that Mr. Henson committed the counts of aggravated assault and battery as alleged. You're going to find that it was a much different situation. Not everything is aggravated assault, battery. Some things are dealt with the way they are. And I'm going to ask y'all to perfectly look at this situation, assess all sides of it. At the end of this trial, I'm going to implore y'all to find Mr. Henson not guilty on these charges, not guilty of what he's charged with specifically, not guilty of what he's charged with specifically. Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we weren't sure how long jury selection was going to take, and it actually went along pretty well considering. And so we're going to start the trial as far as witnesses tomorrow. So we're going to take a recess here in just a moment. Please remember your admonitions. When you leave, if you'll step out into the hallway and put your notepads on the table in the jury room, just write your name on them so that you can have them. We'll lock up the jury room, so they'll be waiting for you in the morning. I'm going to ask that you come back at 9 o'clock in the morning. Parking should be better. Not everybody and their brother's here tomorrow, so you should be able to find a parking spot. Don't discuss the case with anyone. Don't do any research. Just enjoy your evening, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Stick all the pads back in there. Pads in here. Keep them till in the morning. Just up, don't too far. All right, any matters we need to take up at this time? Ms. Jackson?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Spirit?
No, Your Honor.
All right, let's do this. Let's wait just a couple minutes, let the jurors clear the floor, especially since the elevators have been so slow. But once Deputy Camp says that.
It's Georgia. Remember, we've seen these guys before. This is absolutely Georgia. This is Dawson. Nope, that's Hall. This is Hall County, Georgia. Hall, I think. Not, could be Hail. It could be Hale County. No, I think it's, but yeah, that's where we are, Georgia.
They're clear. Y'all free to go. We'll see you in the morning. If you be here about, I don't know, 9:50, 8:50, 8:50, 10 till 9. Be here just a little bit early. Just make sure everybody's good to go. We hadn't had any issues come up overnight, but we'll try to get started right at 9 o'clock, bringing jurors in the door and going to it. And
Shoulder blade would be.
And is that sort of in the same spot that your shoulder was bleeding, cut up?
Yes.
They didn't start at 9 the next morning. I was ready at 9 the next morning. They didn't start, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And then I had to go do something else, and then they started. So I got it a few minutes late. Yeah, he did that on purpose, though.
Yeah, that's the exact same spot.
I'm going to show you stakes 2.
That is Killian. The person on the stand is the son. He was 14 when this happened. I don't know how old he is now. I don't remember what year this happened, but now you know.
What are we looking at there?
That is the side of my neck where part of my dad's fingers were, and also where he scratched me with his hand.
Okay. And is that just sort of around the base of your neck there?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that also come from when he had you against the wall with his hand?
Yes, ma'am.
And so after you had tried to intervene and he did this to you, did things continue on being physical with Lindsay?
Yes, ma'am.
And how so?
After that, that's when he hit her with the bar stool and all that.
Okay. Do you remember if he was saying anything while this was going on?
He was yelling. What he was yelling, I can't really remember, but he was yelling.
Okay. At what point did he come back and get you from the bed?
After he put after the wall, I went to my bed and tried to cover my phone.
Okay. And then did he say anything when he smashed your phone? Did he do anything else?
He said, if you won't give me that phone, then you can't have it.
Okay. And why did you think he was trying to take your phone at that point?
Because I guess he thought I was going to call 911.
Was your phone like completely destroyed? What happened with that?
Oh yeah, it was completely destroyed, and then he picked it up after he smashed it off the ground and threw it outside in the rain. So it was, yeah.
Okay. Now, when he struck Lindsay over the head, could you tell? You said that she was bleeding. Could you tell exactly where from or anything like that?
About this area of her head, so the upper right part.
Mm-hmm. And I think at one point you said she was in the bathroom. Tell me about that and what that was like.
She was trying to wash the blood off her head and just wash where he hit her. She had tracked blood all across the house from her, I want to say either her room or the start of the living room, all the way to the bathroom. After that, I actually had to help clean up the blood all across the house. So.
And who asked you to do that?
I can't remember if it was my dad or Lindsay. I really can't.
Were you asked to do that before the cops showed up?
Yes, that was that night. That was before that morning.
Okay. So was it like hardwood floors, carpet? What's this?
Hardwood.
And so once Lindsay was struck over the head, kind of how was she acting? Like,
I won't lie, she was always acting a little strange in my opinion. So, still strange. But she was very obviously upset. She also seemed a little disoriented. Like maybe she had a concussion or something.
okay. And what happened after all that? Like, how did this all end? How did it kind of come to a stop?
My dad went outside and her uncle came, or I think her cousin maybe. And they both just separated and then she left.
Did she stay the night at the house or somewhere else?
She left somewhere else.
Now, did your dad stay the night at the house?
Yes.
Okay. Did you stay the night at the house?
Yes.
And so,
Yep. She left. He was 14. He spent the night there with his dad, alone.
Where were you sleeping that night? Like, where did you end up sleeping?
The sofa.
Okay, as opposed to like a room or something like that.
He took my room.
Okay. So he slept in your room and you slept on the sofa, sort of out in the kitchen dining area type situation?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that where you kind of woke up when the police came to the door that next morning?
Yes, ma'am. And also, I'm fairly certain he took my room. I'm not 100% sure. I was still half asleep whenever they came in.
Point is, he was sleeping in a bedroom, you were sleeping on the
Yeah,
couch.
he was sleeping in one of the bedrooms over there.
Okay, gotcha. Now, the next morning, were you still there when Deputy Truslow initially came to the residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you wake up when he kind of came in the door?
When they were knocking, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you sort of stay right there on the couch area?
I think I stood up. I was very confused.
Okay. Now, did, the best of your remembering, did the deputy go back there and attempt to speak to your dad?
Yes, they tried to they made him leave.
They made him leave the residence?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was Lindsay back at the residence at that point in time? Or do you know?
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, at some point after that night happened and that next morning happened, did you go back to your mom, Andrea Gibbons?
So.
And I'm just asking if you met up with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Later that day.
Okay, so y'all met up, and then when y'all met up, was it a female officer that took you to meet up with your mom?
Yes. Officer Collette.
Officer Lisa Collette? Okay. Now, did Officer Collette attempt to look at your injuries and talk to you about what happened?
Yes.
Did Deputy Truslow ever try to talk to you the time that he came out there?
No.
The second time that Deputy Truslow talked to you, did he have an in-depth conversation with you?
Deputy Truslow never helped me.
And so you're talking to Lisa Collette. Do you tell her sort of everything that went on that night?
Yes.
And did she take some of the pictures of your injuries? That
Yes,
you came
all
up?
of the pictures.
Well, I think Deputy Truslow took one or two, but maybe not those two.
Yeah.
Okay. And so do you know, I want to transition and talk a little bit about when everybody went to the hospital. Do you know if Lindsay went to the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you know what time do you think that you went to the hospital, if you know?
I went to the hospital that same, or the next morning. I went to that hospital that same night too. So after I got picked up by my mom, we went to the hospital.
Got it. So did your mom take you to the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you went to the hospital, did you tell the hospital what had occurred and how your injuries occurred and all of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I want to ask you also, since this occurred, has your dad tried to talk to you?
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about that.
He asked to talk, or he was talking to me, and then he asked to meet up, and I just, I guess curiosity killed the cat. I wanted to see what he wanted to talk about, and he ended up.
Go ahead and object. I'm not sure what point this is after the incident, but I'm not sure what the relevancy of him speaking with his father is after the incident.
Mr. Zero, let you step out. Would just a moment?
Take your pads with you. We're gonna go back in there for a second. Get the hall, go back into your room first. I'm gonna get in and go back to the main. That's just that business. I'll get you.
Legal objection.
Yes, Your Honor, just a general objection to relevancy.
And Judge, if I could, I thought co-counsel was doing this witness, so I would just ask her to make the objections if she's the one doing the witness.
I mean, there's a reason why I'm helping her out, but, okay.
In the future, really, like you said,
I honestly believe co-counsel here is a trainee. Like she passed the bar and now she's just learning. Like this might even be her first trial. I don't know, but he has to help her the whole way through. She's not an experienced trial lawyer. You can tell right away. I think she's still in training.
to make the objection, no, proceedings, right, here, go ahead, Mr.
I guess I would ask opposing counsel just to lay the foundation for.
The guy on the left with the red tie. If you're talking about this guy right here on the left of her, that's Shapiro. We've seen him a couple times before. He drives us crazy. He does. We throw things at our monitors when Shapiro starts on his wild tangents of, I don't know. And he does that a little bit here. You'll see. You'll remember him. He kept asking the judge to recuse himself, asking the judge to have a mistrial, throw the case out. Yeah, there's no guy over here with a red tie that I see. I just don't know who you're talking about over here. If you're talking about this guy, I think he's part of the court. I just don't know what he is. I don't think he's I don't know. We'll find out.
What the relevancy is. It's otherwise, I think, kind of on its face irrelevant. I just like to give it.
Proffer, Judge.
Bailiff, maybe?
But before you probably just tell me what is relevant.
So there was an interaction where Mr.
There's no couch in the kitchen. He slept on the couch in the living room. I mean, no, it's not like he's part of the defense. He's part of the prosecution. I don't think he's part of either of those. He's one of the court staff. I don't know what he does, though. Idaho!
Henson went to go pick up Killian and told him to
Zach,
pretend like he didn't know
what's
anything in reference to his testimony.
Is that, I guess, as long as it's pertaining to the incident, I just didn't know if this was a call like a year later.
Oh, no.
Okay, I just didn't know
No,
when.
there's not like another police call or something like that.
This has to do with that day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when he went to pick him up to get a soda or something like that, I don't know what it was.
But like involving this incident.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll withdraw my objection, Your Honor.
All right, anything else for the room, drink back?
No, Your Honor.
Drink back in. One, two. Mr. Henson, you good? You got water and all the stuff you need?
Yes, sir.
Hi, am I? Am I here, guys? If you're listening, he's teaching her. Like you can hear him training her the whole time. I really, really, really think that this is her first trial.
Booker. We also have Coach Kenny and Patel. My cousin's here too.
I don't know what the fight is about. I don't know if they ever say what the actual fight is about. But there's a couple stories about the actual fight and what happened.
All right, any objections overruled, Ms. Jackson, please proceed.
Okay, Killian, so it's asking you about if your dad had contacted you since the incident,
Yes, ma'am.
and tell me what the nature of that interaction was.
He, again, curiosity killed the cat. Said he wanted to talk, so I went with him. Or he said he wanted to meet up to talk, so I went with him. Just wanted to see what he had to say. He ended up just taking me around in some beat up old Cadillac that I'm not even sure was his. And he was just trying the whole time telling me just to act like I forgot, act like I don't know anything, basically. Just beating around that bush or just saying it in general the whole time.
Like act like you forgot about like this incident?
Yes, ma'am. The incident at Park Camp.
All right, Killian, that's all the questions that I have for you at this time, but Mr. Shapiro will have some questions for you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Listen, all parents have told their kids to lie on the stand, right? Am I right?
Or co-counsel. Actually.
Yet.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so my name is Lydia Atkinson. Mr. Shapiro is co-counsel, just to clarify. All right, so first I just want to talk to you about, now, you mentioned that Mr. Truslow came by first thing in the morning, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you said during direct examination with Ms. Jackson that he didn't really help you at all.
Yeah.
But he did. Do you remember him coming by
Yes.
second time to?
He was there quite a good bit, as I remember.
Okay.
He was usually the deputy that came out to the house.
Right, but do you remember him coming by to Miss Wheeler's house on the 16th of April?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point,
Miss Wheeler is, I believe, his mother's sister. So it would be his aunt, I believe. The reason you'll find out why I say I believe, because it gets kind of confusing. So that night that this happened, the girlfriend left the house, left the 14-year-old there with the dad. But then the next morning, the police became involved. And when the police became involved, the aunt took Killian out of the father's house to her house. And then it was the aunt that met with the police to get Killian to his mom, because I don't think his mom is allowed anywhere near his father's house. I think that there's a protection order or something in effect. So the mother's not allowed near the father's house. The mother hasn't seen the boy in 6 months.
he kind of spoke to you about what happened, correct?
Yes.
Um, do you remember him kind of asking you about the incident?
Yes.
And do you remember kind of explaining to him what the incident was?
Yes.
And at that point, you kind of told him, my dad pushed me into the wall.
I told him my dad pushed me up against a wall with his hands, choked me, and that my back was cut up. And that he also hit Lindsay over the head with a bar stool.
Okay. So you're saying it's your testimony that you told Officer Truslow that your dad choked you?
Yes. Or not choked him, but I told him that he pushed me up against the wall with his hand. And his hand at the time choked.
Okay.
Amen.
So you told Officer Truslow that he put
Yes, ma'am.
his hand on your neck.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know, did Officer and you might not, do you know if Officer Truslow had his body cam when he came and spoke to you?
I cannot remember. No, ma'am.
Do you remember not telling Officer Truslow anything about your neck?
Judge asked and answered.
That's the next question.
Yes, Your Honor. I guess, would it help you for me to show you the video of your conversation with Officer Truslow to kind of refresh your memory?
Sure.
Your Honor, may I publish? I've never used this before.
And Judge, I don't think that's the proper.
Refresh his memory about what? Is there a question? Did she ask him a question that he doesn't know the answer to? Unless it's, do you know if his body cam was on? But how is he supposed to remember or not remember that? I don't know if someone's camera is on me right now.
Or procedure, way to go about that. That's not proper for refreshing recollection.
Yeah, it's
If you'd like me to, yes, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's return to the jury.
Bye, jury. We'll see you soon. So are you, CJ. So are you. I almost said your whole name by accident.
Like this. And then, so what you want to ask him is, ask him, Mr. Hanson, is that Tom's, is that April 16th? Is that you? Is that when Officer Truslow came here the second time? Is this true and accurate? Depiction of that conversation.
Am I doing that without the jury's not coming?
Yeah.
Can I go ahead? Okay. Okay, Killian, just to make sure, do you see that timestamp in the top right of the image?
Yes, ma'am.
And it says April 16th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the time is a little weird. I'm not super familiar with military time, but that's about 2:45.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that you sitting on the couch in the picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is this more or less based on your limited knowledge? Like, does this look accurate based on what you remember of that?
Yes, ma'am. I thought you were referring to Bart Camp at first. I couldn't hear you clearly whenever you said the address of the house. That's when I thought you were talking about whenever Deputy Truslow first came out.
Okay, I got you.
So at this point, if he remembers the statement he gave to Deputy Truslow when he came out to the second address.
Okay, so do you remember, I guess, the statements you made to Deputy Truslow when he came out to this address?
No. I was upset at him. He was not helping me, and I realized that he was not going to help me. So I was just, kind of just gave up already.
So would it refresh your recollection to go ahead and show you this?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm going to play it, Your Honor, at 4:31.
Defendant's one.
Defendant's one.
Any objections to that procedure, Ms. Jackson?
No, Judge.
All right, you can play a portion of D1 and see if Mr. Henson recognizes.
Oh,
Play a portion of it, see if he recognizes it.
So yeah,
So,
play.
yeah, that's me. That was my conversation. I do remember having a conversation.
Hi, Lori.
all right. I'm going to play just a little bit of it. All right, Killian?
Yes, ma'am.
That you needed to talk to somebody, that was the time, okay? And
Does that seem fair and accurate to your recollection?
Like I said, I can't really remember what I told him, but I mean, yeah, I guess.
This doesn't look like it's been altered in any way?
No, I don't know.
Okay, Your Honor. I'm going to continue to play at 4:35.
I want you to feel like you can tell me if there's a problem beyond the obvious bad situation that you're in, okay? last night, was there anything that involved you as far as you getting hurt?
I tried water, actually up against the wall, my shoulders creaked, but that's it. Today, can you give me a 21 reference?
See, we're just getting all kinds of different stories here, and I believe you. Okay, if
You can see his shoulder.
okay,
I mean, it's gonna scratch on it. It's not just located like his mom probably said. I mean, it's not there, but because it gets a wooden wall.
okay. Well, let me go ahead and get a picture of that, and we're gonna charge your dad with that. Okay, because he can't be putting marks on you.
He's just gonna joke.
Yeah. I mean, with this, come on over here where I can get a picture. Okay, turn around for him. There we go. And let me get another close up of your back. I don't know. I mean, this is a terrible situation. I don't know that this is going to help it at all. But with this injury, there ain't anything we can do.
Well, he's gonna have to correct his mom's.
Okay. Does that kind of reflect your
Yes.
recollection? Okay. Your Honor, that was the only portion of the video I was planning to play.
Oh. So I guess the question now is there a reason to play it to the jury, or can we just say, yeah, now I remember, I told him that he pushed me up against the wall and put marks on my back.
I was just gonna have him testify to what he's refreshed, Your Honor. And I can take the video down if I need to. Okay.
There's any objection to that?
No, Judge.
All right. Let's bring the jury back.
Ready to go. I do desperately want to take a tiny little break in about, I don't know, 15 minutes to show you something, especially CJ. All right? It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with court cases or this, but I have to show it to you.
All right, everyone, please be seated. Jackson, please continue.
Okay, so you previously stated you didn't quite remember the conversation with Truslow.
Yes, ma'am.
But after watching that, you remember what exactly the
Yes,
conversation looked like? Okay. And so during that conversation, you told Deputy Truslow that your dad pushed you against the wall, right?
Yes.
And then proceeded to show him the injuries to your left shoulder, correct? Okay. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure, earlier you demonstrated with your right shoulder, but it was your left shoulder?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it was my left shoulder.
Okay, and so, so he did come and talk to you and ask, like Deputy Truslow did come and talk to you and ask what happened, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so I guess kind of starting back at the beginning a little bit. So the actual argument was on April 15th, correct? Of 2023.
I can't remember the date.
That's okay. It was on a Saturday, right?
I can't remember.
That's okay. But then the next morning, Deputy Truslow came by.
Mhm.
And at that point, he kind of checked in on you, right?
No, he just kind of told my dad he had to leave, and then I had to go over to my aunt's house. That's really it.
Okay. And so, but eventually you went over to your aunt's house, Miss
Yes,
Wheeler?
I think it's that, or she's my cousin, like that. Yes, someone.
Okay. But Miss Wheeler is who you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. And then, we've already kind of spoken. Deputy Truslow came back later
Yes.
that afternoon. Now, during your conversation, I guess when he came back the second time to Miss Wheeler's house, you never mentioned him grabbing you by the neck at that point,
No.
correct? You never used the words choke or strangle to him?
No.
Okay. And then later on that day, Officer Collette came and picked you up from Miss Wheeler's house.
Yes, ma'am.
And she took you to meet your mom.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that conversation with Officer Collette was the first time you had mentioned to anyone that he had grabbed you by the neck.
Yes, ma'am.
And again, you never say the word choke or strangle to Miss Officer Collette.
I don't believe so.
Okay. You just kind of indicate he grabbed you by the neck.
Yeah.
And you show her the scratches on the side of your
Yes.
neck. And at that point with Officer Collette, you thought you had mentioned the grabbing of your neck to
Yes.
Officer Truslow, correct? Okay. And you, while talking to Officer Collette, you mentioned that he grabbed you by the neck while you were sitting in a laundry basket.
Oh, yes. I was supported by a laundry basket. That's what was underneath me while I was against the wall.
Right. And you never lose consciousness during
No.
that time. He doesn't lift you off the ground or like.
I'm lifted off the ground. My feet weren't on the ground at all.
Well, you were sitting in the laundry basket.
Well,
correct?
he had to pick me up to get me into the laundry basket. He picked me up and put me up against the wall. And then I sat down into the laundry basket.
So he pushed you into the wall, right?
Yes. And then he picked me up by my neck, and that's when he choked me. That's why I was in the laundry basket. I was slouched down on the wall whenever he pushed me into the wall. I was
Right.
there. And then he choked me and put me in the laundry basket. I wasn't originally in the laundry basket. I still had some balance, but I was still, slouched up against the wall like this.
Okay, so
He picked me up by my neck. And
you
choked
ultimately
me.
ended up in the laundry basket,
Yes.
I guess. Okay. And just to clarify, you never tell either officer that he pushed you into the wall more than once, correct?
Yes. No, I didn't tell them.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So you were only pushed into the wall the one time.
Yes.
And then you don't see the majority of the argument between Lindsay and your dad.
I don't see a good little bit of it, but then I come back out, or I have my door open, so every time they come in front of my room, I can at least see their shadows. And I'm by my wall trying to peek out, trying to make sure everything's okay. So I can see some of it.
Right, and you testified on direct examination that you could kind of hear things, but
Yeah, I could hear things too.
you moved into
Obviously.
your bedroom, and so you didn't see the majority of the
Yeah.
argument, correct? Okay. And so you never see your dad use a stool to hit Lindsay.
No, but I could hear it. That's
And you tell Officer Collette, apologies, I get the names mixed up. You tell Officer Collette that you were not afraid of your dad.
no.
And at one point you tell Officer Collette that you liked Officer Truslow, right?
If I can remember, yes, but my emotions were all mixed up. But I will say now, I'm very scared of my dad. I've been shaking this whole entire time.
Give me just 1 second, okay? Just a few more. So when Officer Collette picks you up later that afternoon,
Yes, ma'am.
she takes you to your mom.
Yes, ma'am. She actually took me up to the gas station right up the road where we met my mom.
Right. And so Officer Collette kind of initially just makes sure you guys are situated, right?
Yes, and then whenever we got to that gas station, she took pictures, made sure, everything was okay, and then asked some more questions for me. And that's all.
Right. And so she kind of does another interview with you
Yeah, she's more thorough.
at the gas station. And so and during that conversation, your mom is present with Officer Colette and a friend of hers?
Yes, and my aunt was there too.
Okay, that was your aunt?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And so your mom is originally the one that points out the scratches on your neck?
Yes.
Okay. And you say at that time that like they didn't hurt, right?
I mean, they didn't hurt a lot. They of course like stung, but I mean, it wasn't terrible pain. Bad, nothing that's like, unless you get like a paper cut, it's the pain of a paper cut. So it's,
Right, very,
yeah, little pain.
just kind of scratches that hurt. Okay. And so, at one point, Officer Colette kind of takes you away from your mom and asks you about the situation a second time.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of initially talks with you in front of your mom and your aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys, after she takes some pictures, you guys move.
Mm-hmm.
And so Officer Colette takes pictures and Officer Truslow take pictures at different times.
Yes.
Give me just one more second. That's all I have for a minute.
So Killian, when Truslow initially came out and spoke to you at Jennifer Wheeler's house, did he ever look at any other parts of your body besides your shoulder?
No.
Did he ever ask to take pictures of any other parts of your body?
No, except for whenever he told me to turn around and he took that picture of my front, the front of me.
Just like your full, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he ever take any close-up pictures of your neck?
No.
Did he ever ask any further questions of you about what could or could not have happened?
No.
Did, whenever you were talking to Lisa Collette later, I know you said that she was a little bit more thorough at some point. Did you tell her everything that happened?
Yes.
Did she, I know you said initially she was talking to you with your mom and your aunt, and then at some point, did she take you out by yourself and y'all speak in private
Yes.
about what happened?
Yes. And also, I mean, the short minute I was, with her for me to go up to that gas station as well.
Okay. And so whenever y'all were speaking in private, I think co-counsel asked you something about whether or not you were scared of your dad. No, generally is it fair to say generally you are not scared of your dad?
I didn't think I was until, coming here, and I've been shaking like a leaf. I'm not trying to show it, but I've been shaking.
And did you express to Lisa that at least during the time of the altercation, you were somewhat scared of him while that was going on?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Killian, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Okay. Child's getting off the stand now. I'm not 100% sure if he's still a child or if he's 18 or older yet. I don't know. I think this happened not that long ago, even though he looks a lot older than 14. But I know my son at 15 and 16, he looked 20 some. So I don't know. But we're letting the child get off the stand. And CJ, I just can't find it anywhere, but I have something similar to what I was going to show you. If you guys don't know, CJ has a great YouTube channel, and she reads things for us in her fantastic accent. That has nothing to do with what I'm about to show you, because I would never, ever try to tell CJ what to do on her channel. I'm just generally showing you someone else reading a book. It's real short.
I went to the store with my mummy today, and a gentleman stopped her along the way. Excuse me, missus, I can't help but stare. Those melons are the largest I've seen anywhere. Thank you, good sir. I'm glad you approve. But staring, you see, is incredibly rude. Her melons were huge. You couldn't imagine. Like Mars in the sky or eggs from a dragon. The melons were thrown in a sack round her shoulders. At a distance, they looked like a couple of boulders. But even despite a strong double bag, before we could leave, they had started to sag. So wrapped in a shirt, we were off for a stroll through Central Park, a melon patrol. Some were in shock, while some simply gazed at the monstrous melons. They were truly amazed. Hey there, Betty. Do you think you could share? It looks like you've plenty of melons to spare. Aren't they both great? I'd share if I could. But these are for hubby. Get some. They're good. When they handed out melons, all we could find were the size of a lemon, and that would be kind. It's okay, ladies. You can always get more. Dr. Michaels sells melons. You know, by the score. Dr. Michaels sells melons. I wouldn't have guessed. He helped me get mine. His place is the best. Well, it was lovely to chat, but we'll be on our way. I'm feeling unsafe with these two on display. Has nobody seen massive melons before? I said as she squeezed them to fit through the door. You're right, kid. That's true. But you have to admit, melons this giant are hard to forget.
There are so many more, and they get worse, and they are so good, and they are so funny. So you should look at some of the adult, not children's books on YouTube because they are freaking hilarious. It's like you're reading a children's book, and it's so funny. And there's one lady who does it. I wish I could find her. She's just gone from my history, and I watched quite a few of hers. But I mean, it would be great if I knew someone personally who would read not children's books. Children's books. Maybe, listen, I got an idea, guys. Maybe if we all got together in a Discord chat, doesn't have to be a voice chat, it could just be a regular chat, and together we wrote a children's book. Maybe we could get someone with an Australian accent to read our children's book on her channel. That would be cool. Okay. Now we're going back to court, guys. Okay, so the son is getting off the stand. Don't worry. The mother gets on the stand and the girlfriend gets on the stand. I don't remember. Yes, you have, CJ. I don't remember who's getting on the stand today. But we got lots more. Here we go.
One second, just make sure that it's in my house.
Sorry, just a couple more. We're almost done.
It's okay.
Okay, so Officer Truslow ended up taking 3 pictures, right?
Yes.
He took, I think, 2 of your shoulder and 1 of you just kind of
Yes.
front. And at that point in the conversation, you never mentioned to Officer Truslow anything about your neck.
No, because he didn't ask any further.
But there would be no, I mean, based on kind of what you told him, he wouldn't know about your neck at that point, right?
No.
Okay. And did you know that Officer Collette never spoke to Miss Lindsay Schubert?
I'm going to object to speculation.
Okay, just one more question. Since, I guess, the time of this incident, you've been living with your mom, right?
Yes.
And your parents are divorced.
Objection,
They were never married.
They were never married. They're separated. Yes, Your Honor. And your mom isn't a fan of your dad?
Objection, relevance.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Nothing further.
You step down. Any reason why this witness can't be excused?
No, Your Honor.
You're ready to go about your business. You can go back to school, whatever you need to do.
State would call Andrea Givens, Your Honor.
Who thinks the son is going back to school? Thank you, Kayaz. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, Andrea, if you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Go ahead and lower your hand and have a seat. Will you please state your name for the record?
Andrea Michelle Givens.
And Andrea, are you Killian Henson's mom?
I am.
And who is Killian's dad?
Ronald Kevin Henson.
Okay, I want to ask you, Andrea, about April of 2023 specifically. And I want to ask you if you got Killian the day after an incident happened at Mr. Henson and Lindsay's.
Yes, I did.
Now, did you notice any injuries to Killian once you saw him on that date?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe those just a little bit for me?
He had marks on his neck, like blood marks, almost like hickeys in lines. It was obvious that it was from somebody's hand,
Your Honor,
the gaps between their fingers.
Your Honor, I'm going to go ahead and object to any speculation as to what she thinks the marks are from. She can talk about what she observed, but she's not a medical expert.
And so you said that you saw some markings on his neck. Anywhere else on his body?
Yes, his back had an open wound on his spine.
Okay. Like an abrasion, a cut, like, do you remember exactly?
His skin was like busted open, like,
And
not really a cut or a scratch. It was just a wound.
Okay.
And scratches on his neck.
Fair enough. And so after you saw him, after you made contact with him on that date, did you speak to Lisa Collette there on the scene with the sheriff's office?
Yes, I did.
Did you later that day take Killian to the emergency room at Northeast Georgia?
I left Officer Collette and went straight to the urgent care.
And did they treat Killian and talk to him, and then eventually y'all were able to leave after that?
Yes.
Now, did you know if Lindsay Schubert went to the emergency room?
Yes.
Now, at any point, did you talk to Lindsay?
Yes, I spoke to her that morning when I was trying to get Killian's location, and she said that she was on her way to the emergency room with her mom then. Her mom was taking her to the emergency room. And then after I got him,
Your Honor, I'm going to go ahead and object to any further hearsay.
She's going to be the next witness, Judge.
Still hearsay.
Ms. Jackson, you said she's gonna be the next one?
She is. Yes.
Well, it's still an out-of-court statement because she's talking about a statement she made in a car ride. So either way, if she asked her about the statement, it's not in court testimony. This is an out-of-court statement.
It's hearsay. I'm gonna go based on your proffer, Ms. Jackson, that you're gonna call her as the next witness. And I'm gonna overrule the objection. Go ahead.
So what did she say?
which time?
Lindsay, did she tell you she's going to the ER?
Yeah, her mom was taking her to the emergency room.
And did she tell you why she was going to the ER?
Her exact words were, "He really fucked me up this time."
Okay. And so do you know if she actually went to the ER?
Yes, because.
Did you see her, like, did you physically see her after she had went to the ER at any point?
Yes, we went to retrieve Killian's items from her home, and we got there and she pulled in right after us. Her mom did.
And what could you observe about her body, if anything?
She looked pretty rough, and she had bruises on her arms and scratches, and she was holding her head. She had like a bandage on, what was this side, on her head, and there was blood, like dried blood on her hair.
Okay, so she had the bandage on her head.
Yeah, she pulled it off and was like, they just had to staple my head back together.
Okay. And was that the next day after this had all happened?
Yes, it was when we met Officer Collette and everything.
Oh.
We stopped by there and then went to the urgent care because it was on our way.
All right. Well, Andrea, I think that's all the questions I have for you at this point in time, okay?
All right, thank you.
So you said that, let me ask you this. You go out to pick up Killian from the gas station with your friend, or who's the person that you go with to pick up Killian with?
Objection irrelevant.
I just want to know who the person is, that's all. Who's the person that you go to the gas station to pick up Killian, right?
I went to the gas station. Yes, I went to the gas station to pick up
You were with another person. Who was that person?
a friend.
Okay, was it Killian's aunt?
Honestly, I don't know.
It wasn't.
He should know better than to ask that question that way. He should ask for the name, because I'm not 100% sure it's Killian's aunt or not his aunt, his cousin. It's very confusing the way they do it. So he should have said, "What is her name?" I believe because of the way he answered the question, or asked the question, that the jury's not going to know that it was Miss Wheeler.
Okay. And you said that you saw a busted spine. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's very skinny, so his vertebrae stick out pretty bad. And it was marks on the actual vertebrae, like.
So your testimony is that he had bruising to his vertebrae, his spine running down his.
It wasn't all the way down. It was just that, and then the wife beater he had on had blood all over it.
Okay. Earlier, you said that Lindsay had bruises all over her arms and that she was bleeding. When did you see her approximately?
I mean, I don't know what time of day it was. It was a long day that day. So.
Was it the same day?
Yes, right after her house was on the way to go to urgent care, and Colette, she advised that we get over there as quick as possible to get his things where there wouldn't be any further.
So you're saying that after that morning, you saw Lindsay later that day with bruises to her what?
She just had random bruises on her arms, scratches on her neck and stuff, and dried blood, a pretty good bit of it, area in her head, like right here.
And you said something about dry blood running or something about that?
No, it was just all in her hair, where it had kind of stained her hair.
And so this would be maybe the afternoon of that Sunday after you get Killian?
Yeah, it was late afternoon.
Okay. And in between picking up Killian and when the incident occurred, did you speak to both Lindsay and Killian before picking up Killian?
I spoke to Lindsay first to try to locate where Killian was and his condition.
Did you speak to Killian before picking him up from
No.
Investigator Collette?
No, I was not able to. They would not let me. They kept me from being able to speak to my son.
Okay. So when you see your son at the gas station, at some point, what would you say his demeanor was?
I mean, I know my son. He was trying to act tough. But
Do you recall him kind of?
He was scared. He was
Do you recall him standing around in the background with your friend, just kind of smiling? He's fine.
He was brushing it off, but no, he wasn't smiling and cutting up or anything. No.
Okay. So your testimony is that he was not calm, cool, collected, and smiling on that body cam?
I mean, he was himself brushing it off. He's not one to show his emotions.
100%. I believe this. I don't believe everything she says by a long shot. This part I believe, though, because that is exactly how my son is. When there's trauma, he gets jokes. He has jokes coming out everywhere and laughs and, acts tough and acts cool and goes a little too far with his jokes to make, people laugh or whatever. But when there's trauma, that's exactly how he is. Jokes galore.
My son's been through a lot, so he's learned to hide it very well.
Would you agree that maybe you were a little bit more emotional about this than he was?
At the time, yeah. I mean, I've been kept from my son for months, so.
And you said that Miss Schubert had to have her head stapled back together. Where did you get that from?
She showed me the staples in the top of her head. And
Okay.
she showed me the emergency room papers. They were going to leave there after they met up with me to get her prescriptions.
Okay. So you're basing that off of your view of her medical records, is what you're saying?
No, the physical staples in her head.
But you say that she had staples in her head. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
She showed it to me, my son.
How many times did you talk to Lindsay in between picking up, between first finding out and then picking up Killian? How many times that day do you think you spoke to Lindsay?
2 or 3. By the third time I spoke to her, she was defending him.
Okay.
And changing her story of what happened.
And you weren't there, correct?
No, it was not.
And you're the one that actually tells Investigator Collette, you're the one that steps in and says that your son was strangled, correct?
Yes, because Lindsay told me that on the phone.
Okay. But you were not there, correct?
No, it wasn't, but Lindsay was.
Okay.
And I know him.
Okay. So this is based off you knowing him, correct?
Yeah, for 26 years.
Okay. Now, when you...
He nails down questions hard that he doesn't want to know the answer to. Then he doubles down and he gets, but he's like a puppy dog. I don't know. Eileen, are you here? Eileen, if you're here, tell me.
You first get there, do you recall talking to Investigator Collette at that moment?
Which time?
When you got Killian from the gas station?
Yes, I thanked her. I told her she was an angel.
Okay. And do you remember that one of the first things you said to Investigator Collette was about getting Mr. Henson thrown in jail and getting a TPO? Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, Killian goes back with you, correct, to
Yes.
a different house?
Yes. My home. Yes.
At any point, do you see or communicate with Lindsay anymore that day?
I may have talked, no, I don't think we spoke that day. She sent Facebook messages a couple times.
Okay.
But I got wind that he was living with her, so I cut that off.
Okay. And then at that point, Killian stays with you, and you said he's been living with you and Kenzie, your older daughter?
Yes. And his stepdad as well.
Okay. And then do you know if your son and his father, Ronald, have had any contact since this incident?
Yes.
And was it right after the incident, or was it?
It was over the summer. He came to Georgia. I was at Gulf Shores at our family's home by the water. He came up here to see his girlfriend, was coming back. And during that time, Kevin contacted Killian and was sweet talking to him into, doing something. He really needed to talk to him. He wanted to apologize. Killian wanted to know what he had to say.
And you say that Kevin was doing that sweet talking about a year after the incident?
He left my house May of last year, and it happened like a month or so maybe after that.
Okay. Who left?
It was before August. Killian. He came back to Georgia with his sister to see his girlfriend, and then was coming back to our summer house.
Okay. You say the sweet talking. Do you remember when this all happened? Do you remember showing up to at the gas station, you have in your hands, I believe, a Monster, some candy, and some snacks for Killian?
Yeah.
And you're saying that Mr. Henson is the one that is trying to sweet talk him and convince him to say things?
I spoil my son. He's my only son. He hasn't had a father his whole life. I've tried to compensate for that.
Shapiro, I don't think that's how it works, Shapiro. It's just not. Oh no, what did I press? I just went forward 30 seconds. Hold on. I'll fix it. 1, 2, 3.
So yeah.
And his father's Ronald Henson, correct?
Biologically, yes.
Now, do you know from where Killian was coming when you picked him up from the gas station? Was he coming from the Bart Camp residence, or was he coming from, was he with Mr. Henson and
It's from whence he was coming, sir.
Lindsay, or was he with somebody else before you got him?
No, he had been hidden out at Jennifer Wheeler's house where they couldn't get to him, the police, and see him or question him.
And the police do get him from Jennifer Wheeler's and bring him to yours?
No, Officer Collette went there and retrieved him from there.
Okay, so they went to where he was and got him and then brought him to you?
Yes, I was literally right down the street, like 2 driveways basically down.
Yeah. Wait, you were 2 driveways down from there? Why didn't you go there?
Objection, relevance.
So
He's not allowed to go there.
you get him after that, and when you see him, what was he like when you saw him?
He was happy. I mean, he was happy. He looked relieved. He was happy to see his mom. I mean,
did he have a cell phone with him?
No, Kevin had busted his cell phone to keep him from calling me for help the night before.
He what?
He busted his cell phone, took it from him while he was on the phone with his sister, begging her for help.
Okay, would it surprise you if your son said he was talking to a friend and not his sister?
It is sort of helping him a little bit. You'll see, but the jury's probably, he's just going about it in the wrong way because it looks like he's not helping himself.
He was talking to his sister. His sister had the phone. She heard it on the other line.
So your testimony is that he was talking to his sister, and you know that why?
Because his sister was on the phone, heard Kevin in the background.
Why do you know that, though? Why do you know that?
Because his sister told me.
Okay. It wouldn't surprise you at all that Killian did not say that on the stand just 30 minutes ago?
Ask and answer, Judge.
All I know is there was a confrontation
And
over the cell phone.
Andrea, once there's an objection, the judge, he'll tell you how to proceed.
Did you have any contact with Officer Treslow at all?
I don't remember anybody, but Colette, she was the only one willing to help me and try to help my son. The other ones paid no attention, brushed it off.
Now, you don't know whether or not another officer talked to your son. Your view is that the only officer that helped you was Investigator Colette.
I was told by Colette that there was a report made saying he was fine, nothing was wrong with him, he was okay, and he was safe with his father.
So you at
But they
least,
never physically seen him because he was taken and put in Jennifer's
so
house.
your testimony is that another officer never physically saw your son?
Yeah, Colette told me that. That they never laid eyes on Killian, actually. They just spoke to him
It
over the
surprised you
phone.
if your son just testified about how Officer Treslow did come out there and lay eyes on him and take pictures?
That was the officer with Colette, though. I'm talking about the night before. Those officers did not lay eyes on my son.
Would
At
it
all.
surprise you if no officers were out there the night before?
They came out, but nobody would come to the door because they left.
Would it surprise you if you have this all wrong?
Maybe, but that's what I'm told.
Okay.
That's what I was told by the police.
And would you be surprised if you have this all wrong?
Objection asked and
The
answered.
point of him? No, I do not have that problem.
Objection asked and answered.
No, Your Honor.
Yes, so, Andrea, obviously you weren't there when all this happened at the Barquette residence,
No,
right?
I wasn't.
And your involvement really, is it fair to say that your involvement started when you got Killian at the gas station and all of that?
Yes,
And is that when you initially saw his injuries and everything?
yes. I would say it was started when I was trying to find him and speak to him, you know,
Okay.
and was told I wasn't allowed to because
Okay,
they
and
didn't
we
know
won't
anything.
get into any like extra details or anything. I'm just asking
Because of court orders, guys.
you, is that when you saw his injuries?
Yes, I was not physically there.
Okay. And so you don't know the very specifics of like what officer went out where, anything
No.
like that?
All I know is the first officers were brushing it off.
Okay.
I
and then-
begged for help and someone finally helped.
So are you saying what your interaction and what you are aware of is when Lisa Collette spoke to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Anytime, every time. Just, yes, I will, if I'm paying attention.
Fair to say that you don't know all the specifics of what happened before?
No, I don't know all the specifics. I just know my son was
Yes,
hurt.
Chris.
All right, Andrea, thank you.
You say that the previous officers brushed it off, but I want to make sure that I heard you correct. You don't know what any other officers did or did not do you?
I called the police
You
several
don't
times
know what
before
any
this.
other officers did or
Judge, I
didn't
would-
do you?
I would ask if counsel could let her answer.
Be more specific in the question.
So yes or no, do
Yes.
you know what
Yes,
other
I do.
officers did or didn't?
Yes, I do. I've met up with the police. I told him that he was in danger, my son,
Uh-huh.
two occasions,
So, okay,
two times.
So
and
now
they
I
would
want you
not
to
do
answer
nothing.
my question, which is this. Did you know what other law enforcement did or didn't do, yes or no?
Yes, I spoke to an officer. I don't know who it was.
Okay, so everything that you know as to the investigation is through another law enforcement officer, correct?
No, I know from Colette. I know from
Who is
the
a law
original
enforcement
officer.
So Colette is an investigator with the Hall County Sheriff's Office, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and what you know about the investigation is through investigator Colette, correct?
and the first officer I spoke to.
Okay, so now you did speak to another officer.
Yeah, on the phone, but I don't know his name or nothing like that.
Okay.
But the original person I spoke to that told
Then
me there was
investigator-
nothing wrong.
And then investigator Colette,
Judge, I'm going to object. It's been going on a little while now. If counsel could just let the witness finish the answer, please.
It's just that, Mr. Shapiro, I'd ask again, please be very specific in the questions you're asking.
yes, sir.
You can leave the witness because she's on call. Go ahead.
So you spoke to investigator Colette at noon on the 16th, correct?
In case you didn't hear the judge there, because it's hard to hear, he said, please be specific in what you're asking. And then he said, and lead the witness because you're on cross. We love to hate this attorney. We love it. We love hating him.
Yes.
And at that point, she appraised you of what was going on in the investigation, correct?
She came to my apartment.
And did she talk to you at that point about what was going on?
Yes.
And did she tell you what other law enforcement officers were or weren't doing?
Yes.
Okay,
She advised me that somebody had spoken to Killian and he was fine
okay,
and that there was nothing they could do after that.
okay,
That he had stated he was fine.
okay. So now you acknowledge that there was another officer that did play a role in speaking to Killian, correct?
Yes, I knew another officer had spoke to Killian, but no one put eyes on him at all.
So your testimony, again, is that you don't think that the second officer laid eyes on Killian?
The second officer, I said the first
The
officer.
first officer, you don't think the first officer laid eyes on Killian?
Mm-mm.
And that's based off what Investigator Collette told you?
Yes. And what was said by the police.
Anything else for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You step down. Any reason why she can't go about her business?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you're free to go, stay, do whatever you need to do. Look at the jury. You might need a restroom break. I don't see you take it. We're gonna keep going. Call you next.
State called Lindsay Schubert. Lindsay, if you'll raise your right hand for me, do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You go ahead and lower your hand and have a seat. You can move that microphone around if you need to, if it's more comfortable, but will you please just introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Lindsay Schubert.
And Lindsay, where do you live?
I live at 5865 Bark Camp Road.
And have you always lived at that residence in Hall County, or did you live somewhere else previously?
I've lived there since my mom had that house built.
Okay. And who else lives there? So you, your mom, anyone else?
I live there by myself. Like, my mom got remarried, so I live in her house.
Okay. So right now, is it just you? Is there anyone else that lives there?
My youngest daughter's half-brother lives with me.
Okay. Is that a recent thing, or has he been
It's
staying?
it's a recent thing.
Okay. What about any of your kids? Do they stay there?
My kids are there every day.
Okay.
I mean, my oldest daughter, since she's got older, she stays there a lot more, but they're there every day on a daily basis.
Okay. And that residence, that Bark Camp Road residence, is that here in Hall County?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Lindsay, was there a period of time where Ronald Kevin Henson was staying at that residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is Ronald Kevin Henson to you?
He's a friend.
And is he in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Please identify him by something that he's wearing.
He's wearing an orange shirt and a tie.
Judge, I'd ask the record to reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
Okay. In case you didn't get it, this is where it all started. She lived with him, and him, by him, I mean this little piece of a human right here. That's the one that's in trouble right now. So that's his girlfriend. Okay. So she's about to tell a story about what happened. So far, what we got is they got in a fight, and he took a metal chair and hit her over the head with it and choked her. His son, not her son, his son tried to stop it. So he grabbed his son by the throat in the hallway and slammed him up against the wall, lifted him off the ground with his hand on his throat, and sort of set him on a laundry basket. And then his son ran into his room. And then the father went into the room and got the cell phone and smashed it. He threw it on the ground. It broke apart. And then he picked up the phone and he threw it out in the rain. Okay. So that's what we heard has happened so far. Now she's about to say what she thinks happened, even though it happened to her. She's the victim. She's the main victim.
And about how long do you think he stayed there with you?
Maybe he was there like a year. He was there for a minute. He lived there for maybe a year.
Okay. Now, what about Killian? Was there a period of time that Killian stayed there?
Yes.
And is Killian his son?
Yes.
Now, I just want to ask you about, was he staying there back on April 15th of 2023?
Yes.
And at that point, do you remember that night pretty well?
Most of it, I mean, I remember bits and pieces.
Okay. And, so that night, did everything start off fine at first between everybody?
Yes,
And then at some point, did it become to where there was an argument going on between you and Mr. Henson?
yes,
At some point, did that argument get past something that was just verbal?
yes,
Did the argument turn physical?
yes,
And was Killian at the house when the argument was going on?
yes.
Now, at some point the next day, well, let me ask you this. Did you stay at the house that night?
No, I left that night.
Okay. And did Ronald Henson stay at the house that night?
Yes,
And did Killian stay at the house that night?
yes,
Okay. The next morning, did you come back?
yes.
And shortly after you came back, was the police there at that point in time?
Yes.
And how did they get there? Did you call?
I called to ask them to ask him to leave.
Okay. And so did they show up?
Yes,
And when they walked up, or I guess when he walked up, Deputy Truslow, do you remember telling him that that Mr. Henson had attempted to choke you out and hit you in the head?
yes.
And did you later go to the hospital?
Yes,
And did at some point during that argument, did Killian try to get to protect you and kind of get to stop the argument?
yes, he jumped in.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to leading.
I said, did.
Your Honor, it leads an answer. It suggests an answer.
So, did you go to the hospital?
Yes,
And when you went to the hospital, did you also tell the hospital about what had happened?
I told the hospital that I'd been in a fight and that my head was hit.
Okay. Did they clean up your head, treat your head and all that?
Yes, they told me my head was fine.
Okay. Did you have a laceration on your head?
I just had a little nick.
Okay. Did you tell them that you had been bleeding from that?
I mean, it bled a little bit, yes.
Okay. And do you remember telling them, or did you tell them about any of your other symptoms that you're having?
I didn't. I wasn't having any other symptoms. I went just to have my head checked out.
Okay. Did you have a headache?
I mean, it was a little sore, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember talking to Deputy Truslow about your headache?
No.
Okay. You didn't tell him your head was throbbing?
I mean, I may have said that my head was hurting, yes.
Okay. Now, okay, before you went to the ER, I just want to check, did you try to go to urgent care first?
No.
You don't try to go to urgent care first?
I went to the fire station and had them look at my hair and they told me to go to the emergency room.
Okay. Did you tell Deputy Truslow that you tried to go to the urgent care first, but they wouldn't see you?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember
Possible that you told him that on a phone call?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay. So do you remember speaking to Andrea Gibbons and telling her that something had also happened with Killian that night?
After the fact.
Right, obviously after the fact. So did that happen?
She called and wanted me, like she called and asked about coming to get Killian's
Andrea Gibbons is his mother.
stuff. And then when she got there, she was just wanting to talk about why I didn't file a police report.
Mm-hmm. And so did you tell her, my question is, did you tell her that some stuff had also happened with Killian? It wasn't just you?
No, I mean, I didn't. The only time I talked to her was when she wanted to come get after the matter. Like, I didn't call her and tell her something happened because I don't know her. I don't know her like that.
Okay, so that would be nowhere in any of the body cams or anything like that, that you told her something happened with Killian?
Not that I remember, no.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you about Mr. Henson. So, What would you say sort of the state of your relationship is with Mr. Henson now?
I still consider him a good friend.
And have you spoken to him since this happened?
We made up. We both apologized. We were talking. Everything was fine.
How did y'all end up making up?
I told him I was sorry and he told me he was sorry.
Okay. And that would have been in violation of any bond conditions that were currently existing, wouldn't it have?
I don't know why there would be a bond condition.
Okay. So did he reach out or did you reach out or mutual? How did that go?
It was probably both ways. I love Kevin. Kevin's always been a really good friend to me. So even after the fact, I told Kevin I was sorry, because I didn't want our friendship to end, because he's always been a very good friend to me.
And that's even after you got struck over the head.
Yes.
And all that stuff. All right. Thank you, Andrew. That's all the questions that I have.
Just to make sure you're Lindsay, not Andrea, correct?
I'm Lindsay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Now, you said that you talked to Andrea Gibbons once. Is that right?
After.
Okay. So you didn't talk to her multiple times, did you?
I think that there was, she called about when she come to the house to get his stuff. And then she called me one time I want to say the police was on the phone. She wanted me to talk to the police and I hung up.
Did she ever call you asking you questions concerning Killian?
No.
Did she only ask you about taking out a police report and getting Ronald Henson, thrown in jail?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to press charges?
No.
Objection, relevance.
Okay. I'm going to go in a little bit and people in chat can help. Why? Why is she saying this up here? Why is she changing the story? I can't remember if she said it yet, but she says she started it. She started the fight by getting a broom and trying to beat him with a broom. And because she was trying to beat him with the broom, he got the stool and hit her with it. We're going to get into all of her injuries when the doctors get on the stand, but way more happened than him hitting her in the head with the stool. He did hit her in the head with the stool. He absolutely did. She says he did. He says he did. The kid says he did. No one says he never hit her in the head with a stool. So that absolutely happened. So she's minimizing it. She's not just minimizing it. Like, she is trying to erase it. Like it was not a big deal. Because she's in a relationship with him. All right. And she's sitting there thinking, you don't understand. Anybody in this courtroom is hearing this little part, but you don't understand because he's so nice to me and he does so much for me. And I'm the one that actually made him angry that night. It was my fault for making him angry that night. I shouldn't have, said what I said. I shouldn't have said what I did because he really is a good man and I put him in this situation. And I don't want to be in this courtroom. This is freaking embarrassing as hell. I am humiliated sitting in this box right now, having you guys ask me questions about something you know nothing about. He's not an abuser. He doesn't hurt me often. It's just, I know better. I shouldn't have done it. And it's really none of your business. I don't know why you guys are even getting on us. Just leave us alone. It's none of your business what's going on. And this happened so long ago. He's fine now. This happened so long ago. It really was just blown out of proportion. And what you guys don't understand is he was so sorry afterwards. We both said we were sorry. I apologized for me being the wrong, saying the wrong thing to him. It was my fault. But he apologized to me too. So I just want to get off this stand. I want you all to leave me alone and leave him alone because he's just going to get mad if he gets charged here. So I don't even know why you guys are doing this. It's like you're trying to make things worse for me. This is what's going through our head right now, plus a whole bunch of other things, like how great he is. Yeah, this might have happened that one night, but he filled the oil in my car the other day. You know what I mean? So she's not with him anymore. Ish. Ish. But even though the child got injured, that's not going through her head right now. She's not thinking in any way, shape, or form that, you know, he's going to kill them one day, it's just going to get worse. It will, but that's not what she's thinking. She's thinking we do not understand. And if we would know the whole picture and see all of him, then he wouldn't be on the stand right now. So, people always watch these and they say, why is she saying that? I don't understand why she's saying that. He hit her over the head with a freaking chair. Why doesn't she just say that? That's why. Because she has reason. She has her own reasons why she doesn't want anybody to know, you know, and so that's what we're dealing with.
Now, I want to know a few things. Do you remember Deputy Truslow coming out that morning?
Yes.
And how was Deputy Truslow to you at that point? Did he treat you with respect or not?
He was very nice.
Okay.
He was very respectful. I told him that we had a disagreement. There was a fight. I didn't want to press charges on him. I just wanted him to leave.
Okay. And then when Deputy Truslow talked to you about what happened, do you recall saying to him, I believe that you were struck in the head and that he tried to choke you?
I may have said, I don't remember saying that, but if I did say it, it was just, I was trying to get him out of the house. I just wanted him to leave.
At that point. So
Yes.
let me ask you, did Kevin Henson choke you or try to choke you?
No.
Did he ever grab you around the neck in any way that caused you to stop breathing?
No.
Did he strangle you in any way?
No.
Did you see the altercation between him and Killian?
Yes.
Okay. And did you see Mr. Henson, as in Ronald Henson, put Killian against the wall during that time?
Yes.
Did he choke his son Killian?
I didn't see him choke him. I seen him grab him and pushed him down the hall against the wall.
Okay. Was there a laundry basket?
Maybe. I don't remember.
At that point, do you know if Killian went to sleep or did Killian come back out? After that happened, did Killian come back out into the living room or was it just you and Mr. Henson?
I really don't remember.
Okay. In the house, this is your house, right? The Bart Camp address?
Yes, sir.
And so when you walk in, there is, well, actually, let me go ahead and ask you a few questions. Do you recall when Officer Truslow was out there the first time?
Yes.
And do you recall him walking into the front door?
Yes.
And did he walk through your house at that time?
Yes, he walked back there into the back room where Kevin was laying.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, permission to publish without audio, just to be able to show the house that this occurred at.
I don't know that this is a proper witness to lay that foundation, Judge. So I don't know if it can be properly authenticated at this point in time.
I think it could, just because she can say this is a true and accurate depiction of my house on that day. Because I don't want audio to kind of have so much to show the layout.
Lay foundation.
And you lived at the Bart Camp address, I believe it was it 5586 or
5865.
so 5878. And let me ask you a little bit about that house. At the front, when you come in, is there a deck? Or is there like an outside portion where you come in and then you come into the kitchen? Is there a door that comes into the kitchen?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to look at the front of the house, trying to picture. You come, I was staying in the basement, so you would come, the driveway comes down, and then there's a cutoff driveway that goes down to where the pool is.
Okay.
And then there's a door that goes in, and it goes straight into, I guess it would be, the kitchen's right there on your left.
Do you recall if that's where some of the altercation took place?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Lay portion, see if she can lay.
Yes, Your Honor. That's what I meant, sorry. Lindsay, let me ask you first. Up in the top right-hand corner is the date, April 16th, 2023.
Yes. And may we approach briefly?
Mr. Shapiro, can you tell me what you're marking this exhibit?
Yes, let me mark this as defendant's one, Your Honor.
You already had defendants one. Is it the same one?
No, it's a different one just because we ended up not admitting that, but I'll mark this as defendant's too.
All right.
And so, Ms. Schubert, is that you on April 16th, 2023?
Yes, that's me and my mom.
And is that a true and accurate depiction of you at your home when the initial responder came out?
Yes.
All righty. And I'm going to play a quick portion. It's just going to be the visual, okay? And is that you, Ms. Schubert?
Yes.
And is this a true and accurate depiction of just your, of you visually and your demeanor at this time?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to admit defendants too. And then I'll go into the part of the house.
Just the video part,
Yes.
not the audio? Any objection, Ms. Jackson?
I mean, I guess we'll have to take it piecemeal, because this part, obviously, she said she recognizes, so that's fine.
All right. It's submitted. Go ahead, Mr. Shapiro.
So first, I just want to ask you, is this your appearance the morning when the first officer came out?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to make sure I understand, but the altercation that occurred between you and Kevin left a mark up here, but other than that, no bruising or anything else to your face, neck, or arms, correct?
No.
Now, I want to move forward to a second part of this. And that was at 150 of the record. But is this your home?
Yes.
And is this a true and accurate depiction of the door that goes into the kitchen?
Yes.
And is this a true and accurate depiction of your kitchen?
Yes.
Okay, now I want to ask you about a few questions here. In the closet
Why is there a couch in your kitchen? I'm just kidding.
here is a broomstick. At any point during the altercation with Kevin, did you pick up a broomstick?
Yes.
And did you strike him with the broomstick or come at him with the broomstick?
Yes.
And was that before or after the incident with the bar stool took place?
It was before.
Okay. And did Mr. Henson repeatedly hit you over the head with a stool, or was it when you came at him with the broom?
When I come at him with the broom is when he grabbed the stool, and it was only one time.
One time. And were you on the ground with him hitting you, or was it in a reaction to him after you had come at him with the broom?
It was a reaction because I come at him with the broom first.
And earlier you said that y'all both apologized to each other. Did y'all both hit each other that night?
Yes.
And if I understand correctly, it started out verbal and then at some point became physical?
Yes.
And then I want to ask you, I'll fast forward a little bit more. I can't find it right on here, but let me ask you, in that kitchen, was there some wooden bar stools?
Yes.
And is that what was used during the altercation?
Yes, it was a round wooden stool.
Okay. Were you ever hit in the head or assaulted with a metal object?
No.
Okay. And other than that altercation, did Mr. Henson ever choke you?
No.
Okay. Did you ever speak? You spoke with Deputy Treslow, correct?
Yes.
Did Investigator Collette ever reach out to you?
I don't remember.
You don't remember speaking to an Investigator Collette?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
And you said that you went to the emergency room and you had a headache. Is that what you said? Is that correct? Okay. Did they have to do any procedures there?
Do what?
Any procedures?
No.
No. Now, the pool, well, let me ask you this. You said there was a cut. Was there some massive pool of blood, or were you just cut on top of the head?
There was just a little nick right here. There was just a little nick. It bled a little bit, but there was no pool of blood.
Okay.
It didn't bleed like that.
Okay. And when everything happened with Killian, were you still in the kitchen, or did you see or hear that part? Like, did you just see it, just hear it, or the
What do
part
you
with
mean?
Killian?
When he pushed Killian against the wall,
Yes, ma'am.
I was in right in the kitchen.
So did you see that part?
Yeah, I mean, I seen him do that, yeah, but I didn't see him strangle him.
Okay. Was he back there with him for like a prolonged period of time, or did he come right back out?
Come right back out.
All righty. I think those are all the questions I've got. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Ms. Schubert.
This is going to be the briefest of breaks in between lawyers. I name that movie picture. Just anybody, tell me the name of this movie, and I'm not going to say any more about it. But there's someone in chat who is going to say more about it. Name that movie. Come on, guys. You got this.
So, Lindsay, you never once mentioned a broomstick to Deputy Truslow, did you? You never mentioned that to any officer or anyone before this court case, is that correct?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. And so what you did say, though, was as soon as Deputy Truslow walked up, was that Ronald tried to choke you out and hit you over the head, is that right?
Yes, but he didn't choke me. I think I was just trying to get him out of my house. That's all I wanted done. I didn't want to press no charges.
And that's not what I asked you, Lindsay. So what I asked you was, is that what you told Deputy Truslow as soon as he walked up?
That is what I said, but that did not happen.
Okay, so you were lying to the deputy at the time?
I guess I was just trying to get him out of my house.
But then you later went to the emergency room for all those injuries, is that right?
I went to the emergency room for my head.
Okay, thank you.
And one last question. As to never telling any investigators about the broomstick, did I hear you correct that Investigator Collette never talked to you?
I don't recall that.
Like, you don't know who that is, do you?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever even heard that name.
So you didn't tell her that, but nobody ever asked you any questions, did they? Besides Deputy Truslow?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can step down. Any reason why this witness can't be excused?
Judge, she'll be, no, actually, she's good.
Good on our end as well, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you're free to go about your business. Call your next witness.
And Judge, may we approach briefly?
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've outrun our coverage. The next witness is not going to be here for a few minutes. I hope this is not bad, but we're going to take a lunch break now. So we're going to take a lunch break until noon. So from 11 to 12 or 10 to 11 to 12. So you get early lunch, eat heavy because we're going to run hard after lunch. Please remember your admonitions. I'm going to let you step back to the jury room, drop off your notepads, and be back in the jury room at noon. So take a lunch break, be back at noon.
Do all your pads.
Oh, wow, the stream is over. Wow, we even went long. I feel like we just started. Guys, we made it to the end. Yes, OJ. I can't believe it. Okay, we'll stop the stream now, I guess. I guess we're going to say goodbye and go our separate ways. Some of you, like 4 or 5, maybe 8 of you, are going to see me in OJ. The rest, I will see you all some other time. I appreciate you coming out. I really, really do. Hi, Dara. We'll see the next part tomorrow. Yep. It was good seeing faces today that I haven't seen in a long time. And it was really, 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 really good hearing from you all. Bye, guys. I hope you guys have a great day.
Got these life echoes, digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night, when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted charm. In a way, there's no alarm. Dreaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes hear a sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. With each stream, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh